So what if every startup could leverage community because startups actually need a lot of feedback, right? The number
Right.
one reason why startups fail is because they don't get a lot of feedback in the early days, and they don't know if they're building something that users want,
Right.
right? So typically they're building in a vacuum.
They may fear getting the right feedback. Maybe.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I hope you are doing very, very well. It has been more than a month. It has been almost 2 months that I am creating such videos, such podcasts with people who are building something of their own. And now I'm actually very interested to take up something around my topic of communities. And today we have Dhruv Bhatia with us. He is a founder. He's the founder of Casa app. But more than that, we will be talking about communities and overall in this podcast. And I am personally very excited to learn from him. So, hi Dhruv, how are you doing?
Hi Harshita, thank you for having me on the podcast. So I'm Dhruv, and as Harshita mentioned, I'm the founder of Casa. It's a platform to engage your community, and I'm super excited to be here.
Great, Dhruv. So, how are you doing? Like, how's your day going? How's your September going? It's just started for us. Yeah.
Yeah, super busy. So the day has also been really busy, and September, the first week has been pretty crazy. It was my birthday yesterday, so
Okay.
that was
Related happy
a different
birthday.
reason. Thank you. But otherwise, the week's been pretty intense. Lot of meetings and lot of like good conversations that I've had with community folks in the space. I've recently started sharing a lot of my journey on LinkedIn, something that I wasn't doing previously. I've just recently kickstarted it, and that's actually going pretty well. I'm happy with the progress. So yeah, just a lot of work, really exciting to meet new people, and a lot of folks in the community space. So super interesting week.
Wow, that's great. Like LinkedIn and communities is a best combination that you can ever have. So let's go ahead and know more about you and how you are trying to build something around communities. And in the middle of conversation, I will be keep asking you stupid questions maybe that I may come on the way. But that's just me as an audience asking about it. So yes, Dhruv, would love to know more about you as a professional, as a community guy, that how you got to know about communities and why you got so interested that you started building something around that. So what intrigued that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. So I actually got into communities by accident. So I have about 10 years of product experience. I've worked as a product manager, product leader in many startups. And most of my career has been around creating new products or growing existing products from kind of the 0 to 1 or like the 1 to many scale. So I've actually led products that reach like millions of daily active users, hundreds of thousands of transactions a day, stuff like that, right? And in the journey, we kept leveraging community one way or another, right? It was really interesting. So basically, the way I got into communities was actually through my last startup, right? So it was called Product Planet. We were connecting developers and designers with companies, right? And basically, it was a hiring platform plus a learning platform. So we used to, help candidates take assignments and then refer them to companies. And we had actually created a community of roughly 10,000 people at one point, where it was, I wouldn't say it was super active for the entire duration of the startup, but at different points of time, right, there was a lot of activity. And a lot of people wanted to learn how to transition into product management or how to become a designer from absolutely, right after graduation or right after college. And that actually got me really interested in just, working with people and helping people learn from each other, right? Which is the core idea of communities. Before that, it was all about audience. It was all about kind of 1 to many interactions. But it was the first time when I created a community for Product Planet where we actually got people to engage with each other, discuss with each other. And that's when it actually got super interesting, right? After that, I worked for a SaaS company in Toronto, where it was also in the community space, but really large enterprise communities. And the idea was that we used to create communities for research purposes, right? So you had like
Like
companies
to
that
have
would want an audience.
surveys and feedbacks about their product or service.
Exactly. It was an enterprise product where the goal was to find like a group of, to create a community that would give you feedback on a regular basis, right? So a regular survey is just like a point in time, right? So I launch a survey today and I get feedback, right? So that's fine. But the goal of that company and their vision was to actually create groups of people, communities of people that would give you feedback on a continuous basis, right? So you could keep like engaging with them through surveys, through other means, and keep getting feedback, right? So if you, let's say, had McDonald's, right? McDonald's could actually keep surveying a group of people, their community, about new products that they want to launch, right? So maybe they want to launch a new kind of burger, a new kind of new flavor of fries. They could keep like sampling it on this community and get feedback in real time, right? So that was the core idea, and I thought that was super exciting. Worked with like a lot of communities across the space, from communities related to your fast food chains like McDonald's, or like theaters like AMC theaters, or all the way to audio hearing like technologies and audio hearing tools, right? So audio tools, so all kinds of like interesting products and companies that we worked with. And that actually got me even more excited into communities. And once like COVID took off, like I just saw the gigantic impact that communities have, and got even like more excited, decided to step into it.
Got it. It amazing. I was just living through all of the experiences you were just telling, like McDonald's, like people from big industries actually asking people for feedback for regular surveys. And I think even like more than just surveys or just feedbacks, it's very important to engage with the community on long-term basis, because I think community give you returns more in the long-term basis than just for short-term, for 2 months, 3 months, even for an year. I think that's very less, because I don't think people trust anyone easily nowadays. So it's very important to build that trust in the long run, and then keep churning out that things that would actually benefit both of the parties.
100%, completely agree.
Great. So yeah, going ahead, now you got the attention to communities. Previously, you had some experience in product management. So how does building Casa started? Like, was there any difference between you getting into communities and you starting out Casa, or it's like you straight away thought to like start something of your own and just get into it? I'm just give you a context of why I'm asking this question, because when I got into communities, I like till now I haven't tried to build anything of my own, like not a platform or something, but I'm like just trying to get more to know more about specific type of communities people would have, why they would like hire a community manager, why they would even have a community, and how the things are actually building up slowly. So I'm just like researching more about it, getting more experience around it. But yeah, I would love to know how it was for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great question. So this all started, I would say, like with my previous company where I was, working in Toronto, right? So the experience of like working with these enterprise communities for feedback, for research purposes, really got me interested, right? Like, what if that could be, used by like all startups, right? So typically they're building in a vacuum.
They may fear getting the right feedback. Maybe.
Yeah, they may fear getting the right feedback, and they may also not just have so many data points, right? Like sometimes, you're connected to some users, some pieces of feedback, but it's not that large, right? And at the same time, it's not people who are really engaged with you on a daily and regular basis, right? It's like point in time feedbacks. So that's what got me like really interested, right? Like, what if there could be this movement of like communities leading products, right? Rather than the other way around, where usually it's like you build a product and then you want to, at some point, once the product succeeds, you want to build a community around it, right? But what if it could be reversed, right? You first build community as you're building product, or even before you're building product, and you build a product with your community, rather than community coming much later, right? So that's what got me interested, and this whole idea of like community-led growth, which really kind of kicked off, I would say, or got accelerated during the pandemic, right? You had like a lot of people talking about this whole new movement of community-led growth. Peloton was like really taking off, and you had like all of these different products that were used by people inside their homes. Because people couldn't go outside due to COVID, and they would either exercise, share their routines with or their progress with like other people in the community, and actually do better in life, right? Become more fit or more active, or like engage in so many other interesting ways, right? So that was the power of community that I saw during the pandemic, and that got me like super excited, and I started looking into community-led growth, and that's what got me thinking about like what Casa is today, which is basically a community platform. And that was my journey.
Right. So that's essentially a product manager seeing in the way of communities. Now I know what communities are, how they can be leveraged. So let's convert them into some product and just like build the product with the community. Because I can like see Casa on Twitter, and even you as a team member or as a like founder, building that Casa with the community, like getting feedback or sharing with them that what's the progress, these are the options, what would you like to choose. And I really like this kind of approach. I have seen a lot of startups on Twitter doing the same things, and I really love that about Key. They are actually giving the importance to the people who are like showing them, who are seeing them every day on their product. So that's what essentially a community would mean. Okay, so that's what something I intended to know about. Going much more deep around how you started like building your team in Casa, or like did you started all alone, or you had someone with you? So how was the team building process is for you, and most importantly, what it actually taught you in the long run?
Yeah, so we're a super small team. We're just a team of 3, and we're actually still building our team. So I wouldn't say like we're all the way through with the team, but yeah, I started it myself, and I'm a solo founder. So basically, first I started speaking to a lot of customers and prospective users, prospective customers, trying to get feedback and really building my own community. So just ensuring that hey, what we're building, like, is it even something that users and customers may want, right? And started with that. I kept ideating and iterating. So this is not the first version of the product, I would say. Like, the product has gone through many iterations, and what you see today or what you could experience today is actually different from what we started, right? Although the idea is the same, right? So community-led growth and community product to help startups build community. That's been the core theme, the core idea. But the exact product has gone through iterations, which I think is the case with like most startups. So basically we were pretty active with building an audience first before even a community, and starting with baby steps, right? And I created a list of like close to 300 people, 300 users, and kept like asking them for feedback, got quite a few points of advice, feedback from them. And then that's what led me into creating the first version of the product. We got our first paying customer sometime after. And from then on, we actually hired a couple of people, right? So we're still in that process where we're looking to hire and looking to work with more people. And we're like a super lean team. So I believe in like lean teams where you actually have a lot of responsibility and you move fast. I think that is super critical in the early days.
Definitely. Actually, your team is someone like team are the group of people that drives you every day to work on that project that you're working on. What I think, like working alone, after some time you may lose motivation, or you will get that gap in between. Am I doing something right? Should I even continue that? Should I switch to something? I get that thoughts every day, that what I'm doing, should I do? Should I switch? Whatever it is. But then I think that teams make you stick around that. The team, the friends, the colleagues you have, the community you have, that keeps you stuck. Okay, so last question of the conversation, I would like to know from you that what advice or what tips would you like to give budding entrepreneurs, budding startup founders, or even someone who are building communities? Like maybe some top 5 tips you want to give to them.
Yeah, definitely. I would say like the number one tip that I have in building both. Yeah, let's maybe start first with like building a startup, and then I'll get into like community tips. For a startup, I think the number one thing is validation, right? You want to build something that users actually love, not something that is a nice to have, something that is actually solving a problem, right? So the first step I would say is, just do the bare minimum, create maybe a landing page, speak to a lot of customers, right? So speak to a lot of people. Don't build in a vacuum, right? So that is why a community can be super useful also, right? I'm seeing a lot of startups actually building community well before even the idea is crystallized, right? So let's say I want to build an edtech startup, right? Where we want to, help people learn programming, right? As an example. The first step for me would be to actually build a community and to get people excited about what we're offering and to learn from them, what do they want? And then actually figure out, okay, do I need to even build a product? And if I need to build it, how do I build it? Right?
Specifically doing that groundwork. Like in the last video, we had to talk about the stock pay. So the person has actually told us he and his co-founder have done like 500 calls per day to customers to know more about the field of finance. They had 4 questions to them. They asked them what is their current status of audience, basically, where they are actually, and how their product can actually transform them. So you think your product is a bridge between what your audience want and what they actually have. So I think doing that groundwork is very important, and it may fail. हो सकता है after these 500 calls every day for 7 days, your time would be wasted. You think there is already enough things in the market, let's build something else. But I think that groundwork would actually help you some way or the other, and that would eventually build the things in you. Yeah, just to add that. Yeah,
absolutely. I think no founder does it enough, by the way. Like depending on the product and the app, right? 500 could be less, more, or like just about right.
It depends. It actually depends. Yeah,
it depends. But like I think no founder does enough customer calls, and I'm guilty of this also. We have to do like a lot of it. So even now, like after building the product and people using the product, I still like do it very regularly. I remember when we were at Ola, when we were like in some of these companies, bigger companies, I was a product manager there. We used to do customer calls even after millions of users were using the app, like very regular calls, right? Like once a day or like even more often. So I think it's super, super critical to have regular conversations, very, very regular. And for an early stage startup, like there is nothing more important. That is the number one thing.
Got it. That was like number one point we have. What other points would you like to add to this list?
The other, I would say, so it really depends on the market that you're targeting and the kind of startup. But I would say for a B2B startup where revenue is super critical, for B2B startups, it's not so much about users, just a number of users, right? It's more about the customers, number of customers, paying customers, right? And how many businesses are actually paying you, right? So I would say for B2B startups especially, it's very important to get customers to pay like as quickly as possible, because that validates the idea, right? So you may have people who would say that, hey, this is looking interesting, I may want to use it. But if they're not paying for it, that means you're not really solving a need for them, right? So you want to get to that need, which typically comes after you ask them to pay and they actually end up paying. Then they give you feedback. They're like, hey, I'm paying you money. You better solve this. You better solve that for me. Otherwise, I'm going to like churn. Right. So for B2B startups, especially, take payment as quickly as possible.
Got it. I think that's quite sum up the discussion around communities, around Casa, and I personally want to leverage Casa. So you told me that it has an additional feature of seeing the analytics of any Discord community that you would have, right? And I think that would be the best thing ever for a community manager, because getting that quality and quantity is actually the end goal for any of the person managing communities, because that the numbers actually speak more. I completely agree that quality also matters a lot, but when you actually get the conversation going with the numbers, it becomes easy for you to focus on that direction. So I think some amazing job is happening there. So all the very best to you. Let me know if I can be of any help at any stage. And it was like great having this conversation with you. Thanks a lot for doing this, Dhruv.
Anytime. Likewise, Harshita, I'm super excited by what you're doing, and, all the work you're doing around community management. It's so exciting, right? Like, you're actually, so community management, I think, is still early, right? Like, a lot of us believe that, hey, it must been like a few years and all of that, but I think it's super early. It's going to kick off like in the next probably 5 to 7 years, become like its own category, right? So it's amazing that you've gotten into it like so early. I think, you can be.
Do you think I should stick it? Do you think I should stick it and like keep doing it for long term?
Yeah, you should. I mean, you'll be a massive leader in the space, and I think you can create movements around community. Like a lot of you be like leaders like 5 years in the community space, and it would be really exciting.
Thank you so much, Dhruv, and I hope to like keep learning from you and being in this space, like learn from all other people in the community space, in the startup space, and just to like know them better. And yeah, thanks a lot for doing this, for sparing time and getting to this. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching the video. More such startup talk coming every week to you. So keep watching videos, and yeah, subscribe the channel. Thank you.
Great, Harshita. It was really nice speaking with you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.